Standing in the dirt here. Okay. Greetings. This is Leon with Pride in Providence, and today we're on the south side, Elmwood area, properly known, doing a Pride in Providence with a couple of my neighbors, Paula on Lennox, right, most of you guys know from the ENA, and also we have a representative from the Providence Neighborhood Planning Program, so we're going to talk to them about what we're going to be doing today and around the neighborhood. So, Paula, step on in.
Step in the dirt?
Yes, step in the dirt here. We're putting our feet in the ground. This is Paula from the Elmwood Neighborhood Association.
Yep.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and the neighborhood and what we're doing out here today.
Okay, so I'm a longtime resident of the Elmwood area, and I've been working on tree plantings for about 6 or 7 years pretty consistently every spring and fall. And this is a partnership between the city and the residents and the Providence Neighborhood Planting Program. This afternoon, we're planting 38 trees. This morning, we planted 59 trees.
Wow.
And so our objective is to help improve the environment of the neighborhood by increasing the tree canopy. So we've got a great group of people here today from all walks of life and really excited about it today.
Awesome, awesome. And next we have, come on in.
I'm Cassie Tharinger, and I'm the director of the Providence Neighborhood Planting Program, and we work with residents like Paula across the city to encourage street tree plantings in neighborhoods, especially in lower canopy neighborhoods, which Elmwood is one of those, where we're really working to boost the number of trees we have. And Paula is one of the people who have planted trees on their block and then planted trees down the street and then realized, oh, we need trees all over the neighborhood. And so they've just really spread out and become this network of tree leaders who are...
Tell us why it's so important to plant trees. For the environment, for the looks, just for the general neighborhood and things like that. Explain to us the importance of that.
Yeah, so the environmental benefits are huge and many, and one of those is stormwater runoff. Trees capture water, and rather than it running off through the street and into the bay, basically, and into our sewers, down into the soil to be used and regenerated. It also, trees capture particulate matter and air pollution, and a lot of the health concerns that have to do with that are pollution related, asthma, allergies, areas that have high amount of trees have lower incidence of all of those. So health, air quality, water, and then mental health. There's huge connections between having trees on your street, outside your school. Kids test better when they can see trees out the classroom window. So there's a lot of, crime rates go down. It's the more research they do, the more benefits people realize about having trees.
Well, Paula, being, from the neighborhood, what do you notice about, the trees being planted and things like that?
Well, I think, one of my primary reasons is it's a great way to bring neighbors together, to join in the effort. And so I think it's also it helps us to build relationships. And I think, there are residents who are so excited to get trees. There's like, oh yeah, I really love trees and I want to have trees. So, in addition to what Cassie said, trees provide shade, so, they can cool your house.
Right.
And then when they lose their leaves in the winter, you get the sun, and so your house is a little warmer. And as Cassie said, even for me as a kid, I love the woods.
Right,
so,
right.
Trees are just great for kids.
I've had the experience of being out with you guys, and when we're planting a tree and out in front of somebody's house, and then somebody will come out and say, "Oh my gosh, you're planting a tree! How nice! Thank you so much!" And it does seem to brighten up the neighborhood and brings people out. So all of a sudden, people want to start coming out of their house and want to start helping, and then the crowd gets bigger as you're going around the neighborhood. So yeah, it's really nice.
When I first started with this job, I was so surprised at how many plantings I'd come to and see people introducing them. They'd come out to plant a tree with their neighbor and they'd introduce themselves. They hadn't
Right.
met their neighbor.
Right.
It took coming out to plant a tree for them to meet each other.
Right.
So that's
an
an
awesome.
amazing byproduct.
It is. Well, ladies, I want to thank you, and we're going to put some trees up and have a good time. And
Thank
we're
you
going
so much.
I think we're going to have a demonstration. You said?
Yes.
All right, and we'll look forward to that next.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
All righty.
Thanks, Leon.
All righty.
All right.
Greetings, everybody. This is Leon again with Pride in Providence, and today we're here with our state representative for Providence.
Thank you.
Grace Diaz,
Yes,
Democrat.
thank
Remember, November 6th, everybody get out and vote.
Yes, and looking for the candidate which has in the bottom, Democrat.
Yes. So, Miss Diaz, Grace, tell us about why you're out here. What's the benefit, and give us a little background.
Well, I love my neighborhood. I live here for 28 years, but I'm very conscious of the global warming that is an issue for the planet. And I don't think it's only responsibility of the elected officials, it's the neighborhood responsibility.
Yes.
By planting trees, we're contributing to improve the planet.
Yes.
And to leave a better place for our children. So today we are planting a beautiful tree that in the spring will be blooming.
Yes.
But the most important part, those trees will be helping to clean the air, bring more oxygen for your children and my children.
Right, right.
So it's a contribution for for the future generations. It's responsibility of us to do that. And I'm so pleased to see young kids over here.
Yeah, I think that's nice. Yeah, there's a lot of nice kids out here.
And very diverse community,
Yes,
very diverse
yes.
group of people. And I see people that always come. And I'm very happy to be part of this.
Well, we're glad to see you out here and participating.
Yeah,
Always
me
good to see
too.
you.
And thank you for the interview.
All
It's
right.
my first one.
Yes, it is. We have to get you on. We have to get you
You
into the
make
studio.
a promise, and I'm waiting.
All right, well, we're going to make it happen. Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming out, devoting some of your precious Saturday afternoons to planting trees. My name's Cassie, and I'm the director of the Providence Neighborhood Planting Program. And that is a partnership between the City of Providence, the Parks Department, the residents of Providence, and the Mary Elizabeth Sharp Sweet Tree Endowment. And so we work, the city and the PNPP endowment work to split all of the work, all of the costs of planting street trees. And then the other part of the deal is that the residents of the city come out to help plant the trees and then to steward and help water and keep an eye on them for their early years. And we are coming on our 30th year of running this program. And there are a couple people in this neighborhood particularly who've been working really hard over the last 8 to 10 years they've planted a couple trees maybe on their block, on their street, and got the bug and said, oh, that street needs trees, and so does that one, and so does that one. And so over the last 7 or 8 years, Paula, who your neighbor, who organized this planting, and Ward Weathers, who organized the one this morning where we planted 59 trees, and other people who I see, many of you who have been out many times, planted many trees, but it's starting to make, and Jane, Paula's tree leader and partner in crime, and so it's starting to, it's really, Elmwood is seeing an impact from the work that these folks have been doing, does anyone know why we want trees, why we bother to plant them?
Oxygen or atmosphere into all of us in the neighborhood.
Beauty.
Reduce crime.
Reduce crime, right? Studies show.
And beauty.
Beauty.
Great.
And air quality and water, stormwater runoff, and so what? Stay cool, energy, your energy bills, and then they lose their leaves in the winter and let the sun warm your house and keep you warm. So heating and cooling. So the way this works, and what we're going to do today is talk about and look at how to properly plant a tree so that it is set up for success and is going to thrive and live till long after all of us are gone. And so all of these sites have been prepped. We have a contractor we work with who comes, and where necessary, they cut the sidewalk, make a new pit. We want to open up more permeable ground, less concrete, more earth, or we plant in strips, planting beds, and so they dig out all the soil that's there and cart it away, and they fill the pits with new, good topsoil. So these trees have everything they need. We don't need to or want to fertilize them, anything else. They have what they need in the soil. And so the first thing we're going to do is take off any tags and wrapping that we don't need on the tree. All of these should have a label with what kind of tree it is. And often, and I don't know what Paula likes to do, but we'll leave that on for a little while so that people can see what kind of tree is in front of their house or down their street. And then we'll just make sure it gets taken off, within a year or so before it starts. The tree will just grow over it. So we are going to, let's dig a hole out in the middle. So anyone with a shovel want to join me? Pick roughly the center of the pit. No need to get a tape measure out, but I want to center these. And to start, we just sort of eyeball it and dig a hole that's about 18 inches deep, a couple feet. So, while they're digging out the pit, we're going to tip this tree over. So I'm coming down this way. So, these trees, good. We want to get them out of the container by giving a couple kicks to the bottom of the bucket. Loosen it up, and then let's drag it a little closer before we get it. So then, to get these out, if one person puts their toe at the lip of the bucket, this is the trick, otherwise you can spend 10 minutes struggling with these things. Put your toe at the lip of the bucket, hold onto the trunk, and then the other person pulls back on the bucket. And usually, they slide right up. So then, we're going to tip it back up. Now, the main thing that we are going to focus on is getting these trees planted at the right depth. Commonly are planted too deep. That's the most common mistake, and it really impacts the long-term health and life of the tree. So these trees are all grown for us. We work with a nursery in Central Mass, and they grow all of these containerized trees for us. And they are doing a really good job. They're getting better and better at growing them to be at the right level, but sometimes they get them in from places where it's out of their control and they're too deep. So what we want to do, get this out of here, is for what's called the root flare. And so any wrappings and pieces of trash we can put in the buckets, and we'll collect them all at the end. So the root flare is where the tree trunk meets the first big roots and flare out. And so we want to make sure that that point is level with the ground, at grade with the ground, and no trunks going straight into the ground like a telephone pole. We want to see it flare out. So we're going to do a little digging, a little excavating. And this one isn't too bad. Sometimes we had some this morning where that's where these little keyhole drywall saws come into play, where we have to actually dig, and I call it the layer cake slicing. You sometimes have to actually cut a ring off the top. This one we can sort of pull away with our hands. It's not too bad. And so a lot of these trees, most of the trees that we're planting are what's called the grafted trees. And that means that they took the species of tree that they want, the type of tree, linden or oak, and they put a little piece of it onto a different root system that has other properties that they want. And they splice it together and wrap it, and it grows into one tree. So where that happens, it creates a graft union. It creates sort of a bump And that is the fake out root flare. It looks like the root flare. It's not. So this is an example. This isn't a big one, but there's a little bit. Sometimes it's a lot bigger swelling. This is a spot where you might think, oh, I'm at the root flare, I'm good. Keep going. And there will be these little roots that grow. Sometimes they just grew up in the nursery, in that dirt, in the pot. And those are called superficial roots. And they can actually start growing around the trunk of the tree, and they can choke it and sometimes even kill the tree, or at least make it not so safe. So sometimes, in this case, we have a couple of them that we're going to snip off. And then you can see we are now down to the root flare, where they really, the real roots come in. So we get it level. And now, again, this one is nice and loose. Sometimes this is really root bound, and there's just roots that are like matted around. In that case, you want to take a saw or a shovel edge or something and give a few cuts, just maybe 3 or 4 around, and kind of shake like shaking your hair out. Let the roots go. Give them the message. Sometimes they don't even know. If you don't do that, you can plant it, and they just keep going around in a circle because they think they're still in the pot. So you have to give them the signal that they can grow free. So we do that, and now we're going to see if we dug a hole that's the right depth. What do you think? Might be too deep. So the way we do that, we have a cool measuring trick. Can I borrow that? So we take one tool, make our shovel, use the handle, put it next to the tree, and you just mark where that root flare level is on a shovel. This one's a pretty small root ball. So then we lay another shovel across the hole flat. We don't need to do that in this case, but normally sometimes it's really close. Okay, we need to fill it in about 6 or 8 inches. Just wanted to get you guys warmed up with some digging.
The ones in front of my house are pretty deep.
They are?
I made them deep.
I know. You wouldn't know. It's not. I didn't know it until I put it. So yes, the next thing is that, and this is because most trees, roots grow. They grow out, not down. So we want to make sure that the bottom under the tree is really firm and settled, so that the tree has a solid foundation to sit on, and the roots will go out. So stomping, and you know what? Really, you're doing a pretty good job. But science tells us that the best stompers are kids. So I don't know if is there anybody? Are you interested in? Yeah, even football, it doesn't matter. Still, the kid magic. Do some jumping. Yeah. Right. That's looking good. So now we're going to give it another measure.
I have a section that it goes a little bit further in. And we want to have it that way because then in the beginning it was that the tree was going that way, was leading. And then also whenever they put the salt.
Yeah.
And
good. Thanks for reminding me about that.
So we need. I want to have it. I started making a hole, not knowing that was going to be.
Yeah. We'll talk about both of those things. That's good.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
So let's do one more. Lay a handle across. Right. So we are just about perfect. Told you, that's dumping. All right. So,
does it look like it's too superficial?
The roots? Well, I'll look at it. I can look at the one you have and see. But this one's looking good. We want to never lift the tree, just grab it by the trunk and swing it in. It puts stress on the root ball, on the roots. So this one isn't that heavy, but it's still good to have 2 people put one hand underneath. 1, 2, 3. Let me take that one. Yeah, I'm gonna just slide a tiny bit under here. A little bit.
It wasn't
right, so then we're done. We all go home. So we want to then make sure that the tree is, first of all, if there are some trees have really distinctly going in two directions. Like it might have branches on this side and nothing there. If that's the case, twist the tree so the branches are going this way instead of out over the street and into the sidewalk. Because cars are passing by and will protect us. This one has branches all around, so it doesn't matter. But we want to make sure it's straight up and down, or it will bug us for the next 30 years when we walk by. So if somebody down at that end wants to cite it, you guys can cite it before that. And so you just fill in a little bit. How is it looking? Yeah. That's good. You know what? This one has so small of a root ball that let's fill it in halfway first. Yeah, and so always when we're filling it in, we want to do it halfway and then amp it down. That keeps air pockets and water from collecting, which can rot the roots. Tamp it down. So now let's check and see how we're doing. Coming this way. And this, it takes a minute, but trust me, it's worth it. When you have a tree planted crooked that you see every day, it'll drive you crazy. So a minute now. Oh, that's good. This way?